Okay, so going on to recording. So what I'd like to start off with, Sham, is I would like you to introduce yourself and just to explain what you do and whereabouts you work.
Okay. Right, okay. So my name is Sham Nasaar. I'm a Senior Art Director over at McCann Health. And I oversee a list of clients, including sort of Roche Foundation, Mundi Pharma, more on the pharmaceutical brand. Yeah.
Excellent. My next question for you is, what kind of photography do you like personally?
Well, what kind of photography? Something that sort of captured my attention. Something that encompass realism, because there's so much chaos going on in this world. There's so much uncertainty and all that, right? So I think it's important. So when I see like photography that is real, someone that's managed to basically capture that sort of moment, those are things that kind of interest me. Yeah, those type of photography. I mean, I'm a very cultural kind of person, so I like traveling. So I tend to kind of look out for those kind of photography, something to do with culture, travel. You know, those pictures that you captures, sort of the off-beaten tracks. You know, the ones that you don't actually get to see very often. So those are the kind of stuff that I look out for. Those sort of off-beaten track kind of photography.
If you were to go to a gallery,
yeah,
what kind of exhibition would you like to go to?
Well, okay, a gallery, I guess. Okay, I'm inspired by this photographer, Mandy Barker. I'm not too sure if you've heard of her.
No.
So her work has been published, I think, in over 40 countries, including like Time magazine and the National Geographic. Yeah. So what she managed to capture is pretty much like the beautiful mess of like marine debris. I'm not too sure if you've seen it online.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
So it's beautifully crafted. It's beautifully done. So that's kind of inspiring because, like I said, like there's so much, you know, the world that we live in. There's so much chaos and uncertainty, and I feel like society, to some extent, is like a bit disconnected with what is real. People are just getting sort of like, you know, absorbed by fake news and that kind of stuff. So when you have someone like Mandy Barker, who's managed to basically capture something that is so strong and powerful, this is something that is kind of like embedded within us. You know, we are kind of like, we take things for granted. And when we swim in the sea and all that, we don't usually sort of like take notice in terms of like the implication, the impact it's going to cause to the environment. And so when she managed to basically capture really beautifully like this beautiful sort of like marine debris, and then when you are able to basically kind of remove everything else except that is pretty much like what really sort of like stood out. Like, is the fact that she removed everything else around it and just present what matters, which is the pollution, the debris, the litters and all that. And it has so much impact. It's such a powerful visual. So if I go to a gallery, I would love to basically kind of see more of what is real, what is impacting our environment, things that we usually sort of like take for granted. And photographers that are able to kind of like capture this aspect of life where it has such a powerful message, because every picture tells a story. So to me, that's what I look out for.
So that's like sincerity, clarity, and beauty.
Yes.
Yeah. Right. And is that when you see a photographer's folio, if that photographer is showing those kinds of images, that's a folio that you would be drawn to?
Yes.
Yeah. So it's more a reportage, isn't it?
Yes, that's right.
Yeah. Interesting. So let's move into sort of the professional side of things. What was the last job, and it's quite relevant to what we're just talking about, what was the last job that you really enjoyed working on with a photographer?
Okay. So recently, we worked with Nikki Low, who is a Singaporean. Primarily, he's actually based in Singapore and Shanghai. So he does a lot of commercial fashion and documentary, and also journalism assignments. So we had the opportunity to actually work with him for Roche Foundation, which is a healthcare client. What was needed was we needed to actually capture ordinary people on the street. So we needed a photographer who has that strong sort of connection with people. Yeah. And that's the good thing about Nicky Low is looking at his portfolio. He's able to basically capture certain expressions, those kind of expressions and those moments, and I think more importantly is that when you look at his work, you kind of like wonder, damn, how did he get that shot? Like how did he manage to capture that moment? And that is the kind of connection that we're looking for.
Yeah.
So Nicky Low was somebody that we had the opportunity to work with for our Roche client. Yeah.
Excellent. And a last question, a very important question. What kind of message do you have to the photographers that are coming into Creative Plus in Singapore this year? What's a message you'd like to sort of say to them?
Generally, is to keep an open mind. I mean, the thing is, you got to, as a photographer, you got to be versatile, right? So you need to basically create your own unique signature, something that represents you, right? But yet be open to the world, the ever-changing world, right? So have a unique style that basically, because that's basically going to make your work stands out. Your work speaks for who you are, right? So from our point of view, we want to have an idea in terms of like the kind of style that you have. So obviously, if it's unique enough, then obviously you'll get the attention.
Yeah.
I think the challenge is, how do you differentiate yourself from everybody else?
So,
I mean, it's one thing to say that we are, we can easily be inspired by other photographers, by other peers and all that. So we try to sort of use them as a platform to kind of like drive us into sort of like achieving the kind of photographic style that we want to achieve, that they want to achieve.
Yeah.
But I think at the end of the day, we do not, they need to understand that they need to stand out. So it's not about doing what others can actually do. It's about having that sort of unique ability to kind of like explore and experiment, photo taking, doing something different. Yeah, it's about being different. Yeah.
So it's about bringing your signature along, bringing something that is uniquely you along.
That's right. You need to create your own signature. That's right. That's really, really important.
Well, I'm actually going to sneak in one more question with you before you go. And that obviously that you were involved in the last Creative Asia Plus that we did in Hong Kong. Just tell me about your experience of that. What did you think of the experience?
Oh, the last Creative Asia Plus. That was interesting because I think, the photographers that attended it really have this sort of embedded sort of like passion in terms of like what they want to do, what they're trying to achieve. It's all about sort of like, bringing all these great minds, getting them connected with the right kind of people in the industry. And I think that is basically really helpful, because that's what we want to do is we actually want them to, sorry, I'm just saying goodbye to somebody else. We want them to, we want to bridge them closer to the industry, because they're doing great stuff. And we see a lot of great folios out there, really interesting ones. Things that basically kind of surprise us as well, and something that's kind of unique as well. And we quite like that. In order to kind of like continue to sort of like inspire one another, we kind of need to also help them, because we kind of know like it's just a matter of actually sort of like making that connection, helping them. Yeah, I think it's a great experience. It's sort of, I hope they basically gain sort of something out of it.
Yeah.
And the part is obviously kind of like just trying to help them to kind of assess, because there's so many different levels of photographers, right? You have those that's just the entry level, those that are has been around with more experience, but they're there to kind of like just get a sort of like a personal guide in terms of like, okay, this is who I am, this is where I am, where can I go, you know, and Plus, Creative Asia Plus actually helps. It's a platform that helps photographers to show, to tell them in terms of like how far they can actually go, where they can go with what they have.
Yeah. So I suppose the message of this would be bring your passion.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it's about sort of acknowledging that, you know, they have a deep passion, right? It's about acknowledging their work. It's about acknowledging like this is the great work that they have done.
Yeah.
And to them it's like, okay, this is how far I've managed to basically bring it to, but like, can we help them bring them to another level, to a greater level?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for your time today. What we'll do is I'll just get you to say thanks very much. Then I'll stop the recording, and then we'll have another minute chat after that. So thank you very, very much, Sham. And we'll see you on the 28th of July in Singapore.
All right. Thanks very much, Creative Asia Plus, and we look forward to seeing all the photographers in July. See ya.
Awesome.